Calling from a 210 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Good afternoon, Sam. It's John from San Antonio.
Hello, John. How are you?
I'm good, despite the racist in chief.
Yeah.
Good riddance to Steve Bannon.
Yeah.
It's been, that's one of the best things I've heard about in the last few days. So he can take his black crime section and go, jack himself off. So I want to.
John, that's very out of character.
I like how John always reminds us once in a while that he does the color commentary very well as well, not just the kind of straight analysis.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I want to condemn the racist in chief comments about Charlottesville. He's condoning and inciting violence, which is completely repulsive. And if Republicans had any decency, they would be repudiating him in the most harsh terms, but very few are doing that. What's it going to take for his base to abandon him? He's threatened nuclear war and embraced neo-Nazis and white supremacists, and his supporters are so disturbed that they try to rationalize his insanity. I agree on the issue of Confederate statues should not be at the top of the progressive agenda. But for someone who actually graduated from Robert E. Lee High School in San Antonio several decades ago, and it's still there, promoting the murders, the rapes, the torture, and the general depravity that occurred during slavery, the Confederacy, and the Jim Crow era. In middle school and high school, teachers are constantly whitewashing the teaching of the Civil War and the Confederacy. The biggest lie that they tell their students is that the Confederacy was formed because of the states' rights. I urge anyone to look at the secession decrees that were put out by the state of South Carolina in late December of 1860 and a couple of months later by 7 other states, and all of them state explicitly that they reference slavery as the reason why they seceded. So I know most of your listeners probably already know that, but I mean, right now I guarantee you in a history class in the middle school or high school level, they're teaching this right now today. And they're lying to their students, and they're painting this picture like the Confederacy was in some way honorable. And, it's pathetic.
I mean, that's part of the problem, too, right? I mean, because this has been ongoing.
Right,
you have generations upon generations of people who are getting taught a history that is not true and built up some type of notion and maintaining this. I mean, I saw a great sign where someone was like, you tell people to get over you tell black people to get over slavery. How about you get over the Civil War? And there is, real institutional force behind this perspective of what the Civil War supposedly meant. And it's not like, there's anybody's doing any other favors by re-educating them in some fashion. I mean, where are the Southern moderates? I mean, of course, there's you, John, but you're from San Antonio. I'm not sure if Texas is considered
also he's a
the
left.
South person.
He's not a moderate.
But where are the moderate Southern white men to come up and decry this type of violence?
Well, I mean, I've said before that, the South is historically, I've kind of been, some people have taken me to task for Southern bashing. It's not bashing. It's just being real about our history. And if you look at it right now, I mean, if you look at, what Bernie's going to do in 2020, or even if Warren runs, the biggest obstacle to getting the nomination is going to come from the South.
Yep.
And so on so many different levels, the South is, has screwed things up, and has put this in place. I don't know, like a guy could condemn me, say I said most of the problems have emanated from the South, and you can substitute most with many if you want. But I mean, let's just be real about our history. I mean, it's ugly, and we need to confront it. And most white people, here in the South don't recognize it. I was on my buddy's radio show yesterday.
What?
And was talking about.
Wait.
Yeah. Okay.
What?
I know you don't want to hear that, but. Okay. But anyway, I was talking about the I know, like I said, this isn't a top level issue, but I do think it's important to get these things removed. And
I agree with that. I agree with that. But if, and I think it's it is a great thing for people to do in their localities, in their states. But I'm just talking about in terms of the Democrats in Washington, the leverage point should not be denounce the Confederate statues in the Congress. That pressure should grow organically from, as it's a second order thing, to first denounce Donald Trump because he is the biggest problem right now, and then go to that. But no, I get it, because it's an education, right? I mean, the kids, why did they pull down that statue from the Maryland State House? Or why did they pull down that statue from that square? Why did someone tar and feather that? Well, honey, because, who knows what the parents are going to say at that point, but at least maybe they'll be asking questions. John, I appreciate the call, though, buddy. And a little upset about this whole other radio show thing, but we'll deal with that later.
All right. Thank you, Sam. Have a good weekend.
Yeah. Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos